Ever since I was 9, I've always loved watching anime. Shows like One Piece, Dragon Ball, and JoJo's Bizarre Adventure were a major part in my childhood. But nowadays, I've just been starting to watch less and less anime because I feel like I have to focus more on talking to people and maturing rather than continuing what I love to do right now. So whenever I talk to anyone or go to school, I just pretend to be someone who talks about generic things and have interests that are considered normal and not weird. Ever since 8th grade, it just sort of felt like my life was kind of falling apart and that there was nothing I could do except just change myself. But about 4 days ago, while finding something to watch on Netflix, I stumbled upon the anime Mob Psycho 100. Now, most of my close friends have already watched it and told me it was a pretty decent anime, so I just assumed that it wasn't that worth it to watch. But I literally had nothing else to do. And honestly, I was just pretty tired with how my life is going, so I just decided to give it a try. Episode 1. The animation, the humor, the art style, and small gags they sneaked in the episode, and especially the main character. All of it just felt so refreshing to watch. It was just a completely new experience for me. I was just completely hooked after watching the first episode. So then, I just proceeded to binge watch it since I had already finished my schoolwork and had literally nothing else to do. And as I kept watching, I began to realize just how relatable the main character, Mob, was to me. Now, I'm going to spoil a bit of the anime if you haven't watched it, but basically Mob is a middle schooler with an immense amount of psychic power, but he has to suppress his powers by hiding his emotions because of trauma he had from an accident he had with his little brother. So, every day he goes to school, he constantly has to keep all of his thoughts and emotions bottled up within himself, giving him nobody to talk to, making him a socially awkward guy, just like me. The only person he can really talk to is this other guy, Arataka Reagan, a fraudulent business owner claiming that he is psychic. Mob struggles to socialize with anyone at school, only having his family and Reagan to talk to. But one day, Reagan suggests Mob to join a club because he doesn't want him to waste his youth. So Mob joins the Body Improvement Club, which was originally meant to be the Telepathy Club. And after he joined that club, his entire life just began going uphill from there. He was finally a part of something, a part of a friend group, a part of a club, a part of being with others. And in season 2, that's when Mob started to really change. And by change, I mean his entire perspective on people and the world. As on multiple occasions, he's been shown to be finally able to just express himself and realize that his powers could be used to help others. Especially after his experience with Mogami, Mob realizes that the world can truly be a cruel place, with people that might bully you or being lonely throughout your childhood. But he also realizes that he has so many people around him that are all his friends and willing to support him. But more importantly, that his powers won't isolate himself from others, but actually bring himself closer with other espers and just regular people, which allows Mob to finally get over his fear of social interactions and finally change his perspective on people and the world. Mob's initial conflict is pretty similar to what I've been going through because I just can't seem to be able to interact with or talk to others simply because of a fear of being rejected or just made fun of. When I was in 8th grade, a lot of things happened. I lost a really good friend. A lot of people that I thought were my friends turned out to not like me at all. And most of the people I thought I could trust and rely on didn't even seem to care about me that much. So I just thought that there was no reason to share any of this with anyone and that I just had to deal with it on my own. But after watching Mob Psycho, I realized that the people around me, especially the ones I were very familiar and close with, actually did give a damn about me. I did have people I could turn to and talk to. I was blind to that fact due to my own social fear. But after watching Mob Psycho, I learned that I can just comfortably talk with my friends without having to constantly overthink whether they thought what I said was weird or if I'm being super awkward to them. Another character I can painfully relate to is Mob's mentor slash master, Arataka Reigen. Now, Reigen initially doesn't seem to have any problems, as he seems like a pretty wise and confident guy. But in Season 2, all of that changes in episodes 6 and 7, as Mob stops talking to Reigen after Reigen claims that other people won't be able to understand Mob, and that he'll be all alone. But Mob actually disagrees against his mentor and stands up for himself for the first time. Reigen being left alone gives him a lot of time to rethink his life and make some changes to it. What Reigen thinks he needs to do is just continue working on his business and hanging out with his so-called friends at a local hole-in-the-wall bar. But after being exposed as a fraud on live television, everyone suddenly turns against him and he is once again alone with no one to turn to or talk to. So he goes to a press conference in order to clear his name. But at the press conference, an interviewer mentions an essay Reigen wrote when he was still in school, and mentions who Reigen wants to be and is as a person. This finally addresses the root of Reigen's loneliness and life choices: his identity. Reigen has never once considered who he is as a person, and has only been doing things sort of just drifting through life, one scam to another. But then Reigen remembers the day he met Mob, and all the time they spent together. He then realizes who he is. He's Mob's master. He is a mentor for Mob who is both his student and his friend. So, on live television in the press conference, Reigen just straight up tells Mob how proud he is of how much Mob has grown over the years, and afterwards the two of them reunite and continue their psychic business venture. Now, I always thought Reigen was simply a comedy relief character, being both a mentor and a fraudulent businessman, but never did I expect him to have any deep interpersonal conflicts, despite him taking advantage of Mob. I thought he would never consider how he's been treating Mob, but I was wrong about him. I find Reigen's internal conflict with his identity and how he's been treating the people around him unexpectedly, yet extremely relatable, as I've also sort of questioned what sort of person I really was and whether I was just pretending to be somebody else rather than just being me. And I also constantly wonder whether I've been too harsh on people, or if I accidentally may have hurt others in a fear that they might turn out not to like me. But I realize a simple solution to that is to simply just be honest to yourself and the people around you. Your relationships with other people won't last long if you guys have no trust with each other. So I've learned to just be myself and stop caring what other people think, and start being more real and open with my friends. Mob Psycho has truly been a roller coaster of emotions to me, and not just your typical sad and happy emotions, but emotions that are so much deeper and complicated than your typical ups and downs, such as emptiness, loneliness, feeling like you're lost, or just simply not knowing who or what you are. All of these emotions I sort of experienced while watching their character developments was really relatable to me. And it also acted as a lesson towards how I should interact with people and how to get over my fears. I think that Mob Psycho is a reminder that no matter how you perceive the world or yourself, there is always someone to talk to connect with, and that no one is too weird or out of the ordinary to be excluded from everyone else. You are your own person, and you should just accept that. Those fears you have is something you should accept and realize that there is always someone who won't let those fears come true. So as long as you are being yourself, you can stay true to both yourself and the people around you. And that basically summarizes how Mob Psycho 100 changed my entire perspective on life. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next.